Hey cactus friends, it's Jenny from Cookies Cacti. So many of us cactus lovers probably have many plants that have lots and lots of spines or spikes on them. And it can be quite a challenge to repot without hurting yourself sometimes, or even without hurting the plant. Over, the past few years that I've been collecting cactus, I think that the best way that I have found to handle really spiny cactuses is with foam. This is the way that I have found to probably be the easiest way to handle them. So you can see here I have a couple pieces of foam. Sorry that they're so dirty, but these just come from probably packages that I have received, most likely from like electronics and stuff. So I'll save this foam and I just leave them around my pergola and all my repotting area, and I have used these over and over and over again. So for example, this is one of the grafts from my previous video. I want to repot this because the pot is so small. The root ball is kind of overgrowing the pot. It's really hard to water this. I usually have to bottom water because there's not much surface to access here from the top. So I want to repot this. Now to get this out of the pot, it could be really painful. So what I do is I just use a piece of foam and just do it like this. And it just slides out. The nice thing about the foam is that the spikes just go straight into the foam and it doesn't tend to hurt the plant at all because this is pretty like airy foam. And then other things you can do, for example, if you want to pick up this plant, for example, and let's say I wanted to put it back in this pot. Now how do I do this without touching the spines? Well, if I take two pieces of foam, just pick it up from both sides and pop it back in and let it go. Doesn't hurt the plant, doesn't hurt me, and I have found this to be the easiest way to handle really spiny plants. And I have a really small example here, but even on the big plants that are really spiny, something thick like this foam is perfect. You just place the foam, let the spines kind of go into the foam, and then you'll have a nice grip. And because the foam is large enough and it's grabbing a whole bunch of spines at once, even if the cactus is pretty heavy because it has such a large surface area and so many spines being handled by the foam, it doesn't hurt the plant. And I've done it on plants at least, gosh, I'll go show you an example in a little bit. So I'm going to repot this. And so I'm just going to take it out of the pot, let the foam be, like one of my hands. And then I can use my thumb to kind of hold on to the root ball. And I'm going to go over to my hose and I'm going to basically rinse off this very, very peaty soil mixture off of the plant and off of the roots, just to kind of loosen the roots up so that I can put it into my own soil, which is actually going to be not quite my standard mix. I'm going to use my scrap soil because these Trichocereus can take, or actually probably prefer a little bit more organic matter than my standard cactus mix. So I'm going to go and wash this off. Literally, maybe I'll bring the camera with me and show you. Alright, so this is how I wash off the soil off of my plants. I have my hose and I have it set on a jet. I'm going to turn on the water. Not too strong of a stream like you can see here. So I've got my cactus back in that grip. And then I just have like the sifting pan here to catch the soil so it doesn't go into all my gravel here. And I'll just kind of wash off the soil, just like this. I'm not going to wash all of it off, but I'm going to get it so that at least the roots are loosened up from the soil so it has a chance to get back into the new soil that I'm going to be putting into a slightly larger pot around this root ball. Because if you just leave it as is, the roots have a hard time getting out of this very peaty mix sometimes. And having this foam makes it really easy to roll the root ball around like this. So no ouch count on this type of video. And we're almost done. Honestly, this is kind of good enough for something like this. Yep. Let's go back to the pergola. Alright, we are back under the pergola. So you can see here I've got my scrap soil that I have wetted down so that it's moist. It's more organic than my standard cactus soil, but you can see it's still quite gritty. So I'm going to repot this Trichocereus stock with a Copiapoa scion into a 3 1/4 inch pot. You can see where I'm still holding the plant with the foam like this. And let's see if this is deep enough or if the soil's high enough. So I'm going to place the cactus in there, and then the way to do it without pain and with relative ease is to use 2 pieces of foam. Just place it right there. I think that actually looks pretty good. And now I'm going to use the foam to prop up the plant while I'm filling the soil in to the rest of the pot. As usual, I have all my little tools and sticks and stuff to help me with this process. See how easy that piece of foam makes it, and if I need to like reposition it a little bit, just use the foam. Basically the foam is acting like my, in the place of my hands and my fingers. It is another annoyingly hot day. It's about 111 degrees right now, or about 44 degrees centigrade. I think this is probably the last of the heat for Arizona for the summer, because we're already in early September. The nice thing is at least our overnight lows are a little bit lower now. Maybe not today and maybe not tomorrow, but it's going into like the low 80s and even into the 70s, which I have long forgotten what 70s even feel like, except when I'm indoors, like in a commercial building. Like, I know that there's mosquitoes in this pergola right now because I saw them earlier, but it's even too hot for them to come out and bite me, which is kind of funny. So I actually don't need mosquito repellent during the day when it's hot. I guess that's a plus, hot weather. I'm going to just clean this up a little bit. Yeah, that's good enough. I think I'm going to keep these inside for now, like I have been doing. I repotted 2 other ones, and then I'll probably continue repotting, but I'm overheating a little bit. I'm going to go show you how you can also use the foam technique on a much larger spiny plant. I'm not actually going to repot the plant, I'm just going to show you an example. Ooh, I had to go inside and cool off. It's so hot. I could feel myself overheating. So here's an example of an extremely spiny plant. I forgot what the idea of this is, but I think it's related to Trichocereus. And when I bought it, it was a little guy. I think I probably bought it from Walmart, maybe. Or maybe Home Depot, one of the big box stores. And it has grown a lot since I got it. And I recently repotted it from a smaller pot into this bigger one because it was growing so fast. And I used the foam method. So, something like this I could never handle with my bare hands, and even gloves would not be good enough because these would go through the gloves. And you can see, probably kind of easy to knock off some of these spines. And so what I used was foam. So I would just do this. And I can literally pick up, I'm not going to pick up the plant, but you can see the entire plant is moving. So you can do it like that. It won't hurt the plant and it won't hurt you. And foam that is thick like this, with spines like that, it's probably not going to go all the way through. You can imagine, of course, the longer the spines, the thicker the foam you use, the more effective it probably is. But this works so great. Like, I can just pick up the entire plant like this. So that's my trick for handling really spiny plants. Hope you enjoyed this video. Talk to y'all next time. Bye. Good girl.